My life's work has always been about decentralization and pushing power to the edges and creating systems where a small group of people can't do what they're doing today.
Input-output is so much more than a company. We're people, building solutions that preserve freedom and change lives. We're engineers who reflect. We're scientists who listen. We're builders who care. We make the impossible possible. We reimagine critical systems. We put wisdom into everything we build. We turn research into products. We make bold ideas into reality. We break outdated models. We challenge assumptions. We create a more inclusive and resilient world. We're decentralizing the future together.
Please welcome to the stage Charles Hoskinson, CEO and founder of Input Output.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rare Evo. I love this event. It's actually one of my favorite events in the entire world. We're here again. We've been here year after year. It's grown from just a few hundred people. There's over 2,500 people registered. How about that? A lot of lumps, a lot of bumps, but it's incredible not only to see it grow vertically, where more and more of the community is represented, but it's also great to see it grow horizontally. So it's the first time that we get to welcome our friends from Solana, our friends from Hashgraph, Multiverse X, Apex Fusion, many, many others. You know, there's actually 10 ecosystems that are represented here at Rare Evo, and I get the esteemed pleasure of opening the conference. And after I open it, we'll get to talk a little bit about some things we're working on. But in general, great things take time to grow, and they have to grow by bringing people together. You know, we're at a big inflection point right now in the industry as a whole, where we have to make some decisions whether we want to be adversarial or cooperative. And the thing is that there's no reason in 2025, with where the industry's at, for us to be adversarial. The people we don't like are the big banks. People we don't like are the people that want middlemen to exist everywhere and take your money from you, charge you high fees, steal your privacy. The cryptocurrency space, there's so much more that brings us together. You know, we all have wallets and private keys and public keys, and we believe in things like decentralization. We have tokens. I mean, at the end of the day, the vocabulary is nearly the same. It's like 14 flavors of the same religion. So why should we fight? You know, we should all work together. We should all find ways to learn from each other. There's a lot of amazing technology across the space. We've learned an enormous amount from people like Solana, Fire Dancer. We've learned an enormous amount working with Hedera, especially on the DREC, where we talked about decentralized recovery. We've learned an enormous amount from Multiverse X. In fact, Multiverse X, their technology was supposed to be Ethereum 2, and they probably should have been back in the day. And there was a brief window of time where that was possible. And so there's all these amazing people who have spent years of their lives, in some cases over a decade, contributing to the technology, the philosophy, the community, the ecosystem, and the globalization of crypto. And the downstream benefits are that we've brought together as an ecosystem 550 million people in the cryptocurrency space. It's extraordinary when you think about that. 550 million. There was less than 10,000 people in cryptocurrencies when I started. And that wasn't too long ago, because I'm not an old man. So we've grown that large. And when we look at things like the Clarity Act, we look at things like the Genius Act, which just passed, by the way, it's going to bring in billions of people. They say they fight you. Well, they fought us. Remember Scary Gary? Not only did we win, he's going to be a character in Quantum Hosky. we won. We won big. And that's why we do what we do. And so as we look to the future, events like this are so beautiful and so promising because they show that we can work together. We can talk to each other. You know, we can actually find ways to see what's special about each and every ecosystem. And that's why I really love Rand and Wes and their vision for Rare Evo. And it's a great honor to open the conference because that's their vision too. They said to us, we don't want this just to be a Cardano conference. We want this to be a conference that showcases all the amazing things that are going on across many different ecosystems and something to bring people together. So I hope you take the time to get to know our neighbors, and I hope our neighbors take the time to get to know us. Every year it's going to keep growing. I'm going to do my damnedest to convince them to move it back to Colorado, because that's where I live, along in Wyoming. But we'll see. There's some things outside of my realm of control. So anyway, that's the conference. But let's talk about some of the sexy, cool stuff. Next slide. Bitcoin DeFi. How about that? All right, so we got Bitcoin here. All right, and we got this other word that seems to be incompatible. It's called DeFi. In fact, I started here a long time ago. And when I started in the Bitcoin space, all you really could do is just send Bitcoins around. That's it. It was really cool. We were like, wow, we're like, oh, geez, you mine them, you collect them like Pokemon, you send them around to people, and at some point they'll be worth something. And it's probably not illegal. Maybe. I don't know. Don't tell your friends. So then all of a sudden people said, you know, we'd like to do more with Bitcoin. And I said, like, what would you like to do? They said, we'd like to issue assets. I was, oh, well, that's a pretty good thing. Yeah, we should have more than just Bitcoin. So some protocols were invented, like Mastercoin and Color Coins. And they said, let's be multi-asset. Great. It was a horrible experience. Didn't work. Then we said, well, you know, we'd like to do more with Bitcoin. I said, well, what would you like to do? It's like, we'd like to have like application. What if the transactions, crazy thought, are programmable? Kind of like you had the web browser back in the day. You had HTML in the web browser. You have these beautiful websites with the little GIF flames on them. You know, they're very nice, but they're static. Can't do anything with them. But then JavaScript came, and then Eureka! We have Facebook, and we have YouTube, and we have Google, and we have all these amazing experiences in porn, and it's great, and people love it, and it's wonderful. Well, unfortunately, we didn't really have any scriptability here. So what ended up happening is the altcoin space stepped up, and many different ideas came. So the first coin I created was something called BitShares. It was the first algorithmic stablecoin index back in 2013. That's called being too ahead of the time. Didn't quite work out as well as it needed to, but the second thing we did was called Ethereum, and it brought this DeFi revolution into the space. People got excited about it. They got fired up about it. Hundreds of billions of dollars of value was created. There's now over $110 billion in TVL, 190 billion in stablecoins issued, and everybody's doing something with Ethereum. Great. But what about Bitcoin? Well, a lot of us got frustrated because we thought that we would not be able to convince to change Bitcoin enough to be able to participate in Bitcoin DeFi. And a lot of us who tried to build on Bitcoin to the layer 2 space, the Mastercoins of the world, the Color Coins of the world, Lightning people of the world, they just couldn't make meaningful commercial progress for that. Then something happened. The crazy adherents, they said, we are going to stay in the game, and we're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like that guy that calls you for the extended warranty. They kept pushing, and you know what they did? They added Taproot to Bitcoin. Pretty crazy, right? What the hell is that? Well, it's a MacGuffin that basically gives you just enough programmability that with a companion chain, either a layer 2 or another layer 1, you can actually get full DeFi capabilities. And this happened in 2021. So just because you have it doesn't mean anybody's going to use it, and just because you have it doesn't mean there's infrastructure around it. So for a while, we were really curious, you know, would the Bitcoin space actually embrace this movement? Because they had spent so long saying everything's a shitcoin, all altcoins are evil, Ethereum has no purpose. Smart contracts are a scam. It's kind of not a healthy environment for that type of dialogue. But what we noticed over the last few years was that not only did the Bitcoin space start realizing that this was a good thing, they wanted to actually figure out a way to make it their thing, which is a really cool thing. Because Cardano has built within it a unique competitive advantage. Long time ago, we had to make a decision, architecturally speaking. Are we like Ethereum and a derivation from that and an improvement of that, or are we like Bitcoin, a derivation from that, an improvement of that? We had to pick. Cardano's about 70-30. 30% from that Ethereum side of the world, 70% from the Bitcoin side of the world. So we're much more like Bitcoin than we are Ethereum. We have UTXO accounting, but the better one, extended UTXO. We have a proof of stake protocol that was built and inspired by proof of work. In fact, we started with proof of work. The GKL 15 paper was the very first academic paper to prove that Bitcoin was provably secure. And it created a security model that we then used to prove that our version of proof of stake was secure. Our asset issuance model, remember color coins? Well, Cardano native tokens are actually inspired by that. We just basically built native support into the system. So there's many extensions that come out of the Bitcoin world that we finished because we had the ability to finish. Now, we took a lot from Ethereum as well. We took a lot from the other things in that space as well, except for the hacks. I can't help myself. I have to reform. But we took a lot of the good stuff, you know, and left out the bad. And so when you put those two things together, if Bitcoin needs a companion system that is going to help it in its DeFi journey, I would argue that Cardano is one of the most competitive, most compelling, and interesting experiences for that. And that's what this presentation is about, is to kind of walk you guys through and show you the art of the possible and tell you what's being built today, right now. Some of the technology already runs on mainnet, meaning Bitcoin mainnet and Cardano mainnet. Other technology still in the testnet range, but it's moving and evolving rapidly. In fact, the last time I actually talked about this was at the large Bitcoin 2025 conference. So large, over 100,000 people were there, and we've already made significant progress since that time. But let's talk about the stack. And I have this prop on the stage. I like props, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move it. Cubes. All right, let's deconstruct our cubes. For dramatic effect. Okay. So 3 cubes. This is infrastructure. It's kind of your middleware. It's your ecosystem. So this infrastructure cube, and I'll slide it back in case the monitors are making it hard to see. This is the connecting tissue between Bitcoin and other stuff. And all these cubes play by 3 rules. 3 cubes, 3 rules. Can't violate them or else Bitcoin DeFi won't work. Rule number 1, does anybody know what it is? If you talk to a Bitcoin maximalist, they're like, boy, we love the altcoin space. There's so much innovation. Those guys are great, you know. I want to invite them over for dinner. There's no such thing as a shitcoin. We're all friends and family. No, they hate us. They say shitcoin. They have Max Kaiser go around, and there's just not enough cocaine left for that guy. Christ. Everything's a shitcoin. Everything's bad. There is only Bitcoin. That's rule number 1. So the security of the system must come from Bitcoin. Rule number 2. If there's only Bitcoin, if you're paying transaction fees, what do you pay your transaction fees in? Is it Solana? Nope. Is it Cardano? ADA? No. It's Bitcoin. You can only pay your transaction fees in Bitcoin. Sorry. That's the rules. I don't make them. They live by them. It's 550 million people. You know, we kind of have to accept, right? It's their country. 2, only transaction fees in Bitcoin. And 3, if you get a yield back from your DeFi, do we pay that yield back in Dogecoin? Do we pay that yield back in Tether? Do we pay that yield back in ADA? No, there's only Bitcoin. You pay the yield back in Bitcoin. There's only Bitcoin. Those are the three rules. Now, if you tell a maximalist that, they'd be like, I want to hate you, but I can never find a way to do so because I agree with you. So your infrastructure layer, it has to be able to create a world like that, where you derive your security from proof of work. You pay your transaction fees in Bitcoin. And whatever the hell this DeFi thing is doing, we don't know what's going on under the hood, but I better at some time get like back somehow, some way, Bitcoin out of that thingy-mabob that you've created. That's rule number one. That's the first part of the system for the three rules. Then the second part is the user experience. So this cube right here. Okay, so we have this thing called the glacier drop. It's an example of like designed by committee, because there's all these things that are happening and all these people are talking about it. As much as I love it, it is not an easy process. Okay, if we had that user experience for Bitcoin DeFi, it'd be over. It's got to be simple. It's got to be Apple-fied, okay? These are Bitcoiners. You click a button, it's a toggle, it's a thing. You just like, you have Bitcoin and Bitcoin DeFi mode. Bitcoin DeFi mode. What's the difference between the two? You click a toggle. That's it. That's what Bitcoin DeFi has to have. So you have to have a wallet layer inside the system that hides all that complexity and just pushes it to the back. And it, for the user, is as simple as a toggle. You click it and you're done. That's it. And then for the ecosystem side, you have to figure out a way to handle that whole fees, and you have to figure out a way to have that whole yield be in Bitcoin. So what's really cool about Cardano is we invested heavily in a lot of foundational technologies. On the infrastructure side, we invested heavily in things like BitVMX. In fact, Cardano is going to be next year the best development platform for Bitcoin DeFi. You can use Aiken, Plutus, and other tools to write Bitcoin script that runs natively on the Bitcoin network. We are UTXO accounting. So if you're building a UTXO application, the paradigms match. It doesn't for Solana or for Ethereum because they've chosen different paradigms. So you have to translate it to write that application. You don't for us. So because of these heavy investments here, we have a native advantage. We own a wallet, input-output. We have this amazing lace thing, and Brandon is going to show you the toggle. And once you see it, you get it. Yeah, click it. That's all you have to do. Bitcoin DeFi mode. Not new Bitcoin, not different Bitcoin, not shadow Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Microsoft. It's just DeFi mode. That's all it is, okay? And on the ecosystem side, there's all of these amazing dApps that are getting ready for Babel fees, like Fluid Tokens, for example. We love them. They're amazing. And they're actually the first to implement it in software. And they can talk around how we can get a yield in Bitcoin and how we can get fees in Bitcoin. So buckle up. The people that are coming up next, they're going to walk you through this stack. And they're going to take care of you guys. They're going to show you the vision, show you the journey. And you know, once you've put it all together, guess what you got? You have a TVL opportunity that is 4 times larger than the market caps of Ethereum and Solana combined. That's how big the market is. Single biggest, single most liquid market of anything in our industry, probably forever. The thing about Bitcoin is Wall Street loves it, institutions love it, governments love it, people love it. It's Bitcoin. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be here. What the DeFi part is about having the gold leave the gold mine. It's kind of a weird thing. You mine it, you have to just like keep it at the mine forever. No, you make jewelry out of it, damn it. And this is what's making jewelry, the DeFi side of the world. And that's what we're going to do. And I think that Cardano is the best suited ledger for this. We've been planning this for a really long time. From where we inherited our technology to concepts like Babel fees, you can kind of see little by little how we put all these pieces together. And I think we can be the first to actually inherit those 3 rules and get it done. And what's so super exciting is that if this works, which I think it will, it's going to bring not only billions of dollars of TVL and lots of transactions, but it finishes something that I started my career on. You know, I started as a Bitcoin guy. I was the founding chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation's education committee. I started the Bitcoin education project. I wanted Bitcoin to be ubiquitous. I wanted Bitcoin to be successful. I wanted Bitcoin to fundamentally transform